Greetings, people of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome once again to the underground lair where I create robots, aliens, zombies, and other imminent threats to humanity. But today, we're going to talk a little bit about mini comics. So I have some experience doing mini comics, primarily with my new book, Young and the Dead, which I'm running a Kickstarter for. By the way, if you're watching this anywhere near the time that I posted it, you can go to youngandthedead.com. You can check that out. And I am offering some of these mini comics as backer levels and as add-ons, so you can go check those out, and I'll show you a little bit about that. But we're going to go into the whole process, how I created the latest one for issue number 3. So let's get to it. But first, I want to take you guys back in time to when I created my first mini comic. So a little bit of history of when I started mini comics way back in the early 90s, probably before some of you people were even born. I created this thing. This was my very first mini comic, Manhunter, Creature of the Night. This was my 90s ultra-violent superhero, anti-hero type guy who had, he had this tail that he used as a weapon, and you can see him stabbing this drug dealer guy, and it's pretty nasty, and yeah, a lot different from the stuff I do today. But that's kind of what I was into when I was younger, and that's what was all in rage in the 90s. So anyway, this again, first mini comic, and what we used to do with these, we called them ash cans back in the day, and they were just kind of preview. Like this is probably like a little 5 or 6 page story that we would bring and we hand out to publishers, Marvel, DC, all those guys at comic conventions. A little harder to do that nowadays, I think. Back then you could actually walk up to, you know, these places. The conventions weren't as crowded and everything. A whole different scene back then. But I believe the reason why they called them ash cans is probably because they got tossed in the trash half the time. But the cool thing is, mini comics don't have to be this. They don't have to be this kind of throwaway little, you know, something you do at a copy shop and staple and all that stuff. No, you can take mini comics to the next level, and that's kind of what I'm going to show you. What I'm going to do, like with my comic Young and the Dead. So this is the first issue. This is a full issue. It's just a smaller size. But what I like to do with mini comics is I like to make these the ones with the personal touch. I've got the standard issue, kind of like what you would get at a comic shop or whatever. But with the mini comics, they take a little more time, a little more effort. As you can see with this one, this is the first issue. There's little bands and everything wrapping around. There's a dust cover. You've got the little zombie hands, and these are signed, numbered, limited edition, all that stuff. So very cool. And I think somewhere way back on my website there's a little blog post of how I did this. You have to go way back to like the beginning of it. But I'm going to show you how I'm working on how I'm doing the new version, the issue number 3, in just a minute. Here, let me show you. This is issue 2, and as you can see, we've got this little. Try to do something different with each issue. Again, and I think they've got like an original sketch in here, and just take some time putting this thing together, add a little noose to it. There's little doors that open up. I'll show you a little more in a minute. But this one is the brand new one. So we've got this welding mask, we've kind of got this clear, kind of see-through little visor thing, and then inside is a comic book. So I'm going to show you how I did this. So we're just going to take a shortcut, go to the paralleloscope, and kind of go to this already in progress, and you can see how we put this together. So let's check it out. Okay, so before we get into just how I put together one of the artist editions, I want to show off some of the earlier issues. So this is issue 1. I cut these little notches in these bands so they can kind of cut halfway through each side, so they kind of hook together. So you can kind of remove those, and here you can see the mini comic, and it kind of, the hands are all hand cut, they surround it, and yeah, that's the first issue. Here's the second issue, and I had to look on the internet, figure out how to do a noose, and I forgot since then, so I'm gonna have to look again so I can do some new ones. But yeah, I made a stamp to put the keep out sign, and then I cut out a little kind of a gatefold there, and this is the new issue, and we're going to get into it. We're going to show you how we put this thing together. So first, the best thing to do first is to create a dummy comic, and what this is just a little mock-up, because it gets very confusing as far as the page layouts. But what you want to remember is that the way these are laid out, they're laid out in multiples of 4. So for instance, if you have an 8-page comic book, you're going to have 2 sheets of copy paper folded. And if you've got a 24 pages, you're going to have 6. And so that's how you do it. You just find out how many you're going to need total, fold them in half, and then just number them. And don't forget your cover. Don't forget, to add your cover to that. So once you have the whole thing, as you can see here, I made a little mistake. That's my inside back cover. Then you can take it apart, and then you can see which pages face which pages. So then you can go into your computer program and lay that out. Now, when we start printing, you want to use at least 40-pound paper, because otherwise it's going to show through. I think 20 is kind of the standard that you find most places. But you want to get that 24, otherwise it's going to show through, one page will show through the other, because the 20 pages is just a little too light. So 24 or more pound paper. So now what I'm doing, and I lay this out in Illustrator. You can lay it out in whatever program you have. If you've got Photoshop, you can do that as well. The one thing I do with mine, and not everyone does this, some people they'll just lay out their comics. I want my comic books to have a bleed, meaning they bleed off the edge of the paper. That it goes right up to the edge. And in order to do that, because printers won't print that far normally unless you have some kind of special printer, which I don't. I have a large format printer, but not anything that prints bleeds. And I think there are printers out there like that. But anyway, so in order to do that, you have to create crop marks, and you can kind of see those in either corner. And what that is just a little line that shows you exactly where to cut. So if you look at the page on the left, you can see it goes all the way, and you can see the crop marks are over a little bit. So when you chop that stuff off, it all works. So here I'm just printing out my pages. As you can see, so now they're all laid out, and what I do is I flip it around, and I made another mistake there. Your printer may vary, but once you print them out, sometimes it takes some time to figure out which way the paper feeds in for when you're doing double pages and everything like that. But I found that actually the way it prints out, I just stick it back in the same exact way, and then it'll print correctly, right side up every time. So then I've got all my pages laid out, and I just put them in stacks, and then I just start collating all the different pages together, add the cover, and just kind of go through that same motion, and just kind of repeat that depending on how many comics you need. And I've got 3 here that I'm doing. Now here is where back to the bleeds and everything. Now you'll notice now most mini comics have a standard size. It's that 8.5 by 11 folded, which mine sort of do, because the dust cover that I put on all of them are just regular folded covers. They're not. I don't cut those down to size, but the inside pages of the book are kind of cut to fit, so I can get that nice bleed. So I do that, and the cover, when I get around to doing the cover, I made that now the cover does have sort of a bleed too, but I made that one just a slightly bit bigger than the inside pages, because you want the inside pages not to like pop out of the side of the comic. And this is sort of it's tricky when you're working with these when you're working with the crop marks, because when you're cutting these out, sometimes you're cutting off your crop marks for the other sides. So you kind of have to play around with it and figure out the best way to line these up if you're going to go this route. And this is a little more complicated than most people do. Most people just fold the pages and print it that way, and that's fine too. And some comics don't have bleeds, so you don't have to worry about them anyway. But mine does, not on every page, but on a lot of pages. So here we go. Like I said, so this is going to be the front cover, and just the crop marks. I just gave a little more room just so that make sure that that the cover is a bit larger than the interior. And what I do is I just set it against the edge of this cutting machine, and then I just do my little fold there and press down, and see here I'm just trimming it off just a little bit more. And so yeah, so here I go. I'm going to do the same thing. I just use any kind of corner and press it against, and that give you a nice crease there. And as you can see, the inside is not protruding from the outer rim of the mini comic, the cover there. So as you can just see what I just showed there, that's my long arm stapler. You can get those at office supply stores or online or whatever, and it's just a long stapler that will reach far enough in so where you can staple the inside of that, and there you have it. That's the basic comic book, but we're going to take a step further and we're going to build this dust cover. Now again, you can see I didn't cut this one down to size because I want the at least the outer appearance to be that 8.5 by 11 folded size. So there you go. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to cut a window inside this drawing I did of the welding mask. So I got my little straight edge ruler and my X-Acto knife. Be careful with this so you don't cut your fingers off. And I cut my straight lines on the side, and then after that I kind of want little rounded corners, so then I go in each corner and kind of round it off a little bit, give it a little curve, and then do that to all 4 corners. There you go. One more, and then we're just gonna pop that bad boy out. We got a window now, so you can kind of see through there, but we want to go the extra mile. We want to put kind of a transparent sheet. So what I did was I found some file folders. I looked at like cellophane, but a lot of it was really thin. You can also use, like, I'm guessing most people aren't going to do exactly what I'm doing, but if you are, you can find like the lighting gels for like that they use for filming to add lights, add different color lights. You can use those, but I just found these file folders and cut them down to size, and then I'm using double stick tape on each side and cutting it down so it's nice and, you know, even. And then I'm just going to pop that on the back there, real easy, and there you go. And that is issue number 3 of Young and the Dead. So yeah, that's how I make a mini comic, an artist edition. These are limited edition. There's 50 of each, signed and numbered, and they come with, there you go, an original sketch. And that's how I do it. That's how I create a mini comic. So thanks everyone who's already backed the Kickstarter. If you haven't, you might want to check it out. You can go to youngandthedead.com, check out that Kickstarter, and you can add one of these for $15. Again, it comes with a sketch, so it's a pretty good deal. And you can add they're all 3 available to add, and they're also at some of the higher tiers. You can get those as part of your backer pledge if you back now while supplies last. We'll see you later. That is all.